Hello and welcome to Arirang News Break, live from Seoul. I'm Han Da-eun. Leading us off today is the Ulchi Freedom Guardian exercise. President Park Geun-hye convened the Ulchi National Security Council this morning, followed by an Ulchi cabinet meeting marking the start of the 4-day government and civilian drills first introduced in 1960 to better cope with national emergencies. The president called for full defense readiness and urged unity against North Korea's continued provocations. Our Song Ji-sun at the presidential office with more.
At a National Security Council meeting on Monday, President Park condemned North Korea's nuclear missions and its threats to attack Seoul's key facilities in the wake of Seoul and Washington's decision to deploy the THAAD missile defense system to South Korea. The president also called for unity within the South against North aggression and criticized Pyongyang for using the THAAD deployment for its own end.
우리의 사드 배치 결정은 북한의 핵과 미사일로부터 우리 국가와 국민을 지키기 위한 것인데도 적반하장으로 왜곡하면서 추가 도발의 빌미로 삼으려 하고 있습니다. 이런 북한의 공세에 우리가 휘말려서 내부 갈등과 혼란을 가중시키면 바로 북한의 의도에 말려드는 것이 될 것입니다.
President Park said North Korea will try to provoke conflict within the South as Pyongyang is experiencing its own internal struggle, as illustrated by the defections of high-ranking officials. The latest high-profile defection was by the North ambassador to UK, Tae Yong-ho. The president also cautioned that the North is capable of and claims it will carry out various types of provocations, including terror and cyber attacks.
특히 북한이 체제 유지를 위해 극단의 길을 가고 있고 핵심 엘리트층마저 이반하면서 탈북이 이어지고 있는 지금은 잠시도 방심할 수가 없는 상황입니다.
President Park also called for cooperation from the political realm on national security and asked for the nation's support in guiding North Korea to realize that it must change or take the route to self-destruction. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
South Korea and U.S. military have begun their annual Ulchi Freedom Guardian exercise today in the shadow of another threat from North Korea. North Korea has threatened of a preemptive nuclear strike if it detects any aggression during the drills, keeping alive their usual rhetoric against South Korean and American forces. Our Defense Ministry correspondent Kim Hyun-bin covers it all for us this afternoon.
Seoul and Washington kicked off their annual combined Ulchi Freedom Guardian military drill. South Korea's defense ministry announced the start of the command post exercise on Monday. The drill is scheduled to run through September 2nd and involves 50,000 South Korean and 25,000 American military personnel. The United Nations Command Military Armistice Commission informed the North Korean People's Army of the exercise through the Joint Security Area at Panmunjom and emphasized that the drills are defensive in nature. The statement was in part a response to a threat by North Korea earlier the same day, saying it would launch a preemptive nuclear strike on Seoul and Washington if the allies show even the slightest sign of aggression against North Korea during the drills. The warning came in a statement by the North Korean People's Army and released through the state-run Korean Central News Agency. That statement said North Korea is ready to mount a preemptive retaliatory strike on everyone involved in the Ulchi exercise. It also cautioned that the situation on the Korean peninsula is so tense that a nuclear war may break out any moment. This year's exercise comes amid heightened tensions between the two Koreas following the defection of a senior North Korean diplomat last month. The South Korean military is on high alert for any unusual activity and says it is ready to counter any provocations from the North. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
After 17 days of fierce competition, the 2016 Rio Olympics have officially come to an end with a closing ceremony that didn't hold anything back. It was a fitting end to a dazzling festival of sport, but earlier in the day, the heat of competition and the thrill of games were still on full display. Yoon Shin gives us a wrap-up of the day's events.
On the final day of the 2016 Summer Olympics, proud athletes entered the Maracana Stadium in Rio one last time to bid farewell to the sporting event. Sunday's closing ceremony gave the global audience a festive event featuring the big samba floats the city's carnival is known for, as well as performances by Brazilian musicians. Winning most medals, the U.S. concluded their stay in Rio in first place. And beating China by 1 gold, Great Britain claimed second. Also, despite the long list of banned athletes due to the doping scandal, Russia, especially excelling in fencing and wrestling, finished fourth. But earlier in the day, the thrill of the games was kept in the city until the very last minute. In Sunday's men's basketball final, the U.S. sealed its third straight golden victory, beating Serbia 96-66. The team's star player, Kevin Durant, scoring 30 points alone, pushed his team way ahead of the Serbians by halftime. With the U.S. women's basketball team also dominating Spain 101-72 on Saturday to claim their 6th gold, the country has solidified its reputation as the best basketball nation. Another anticipated event on the final day was the marathon, in which another double gold was achieved by a single nation. Following the golden finish in the women's event on August 14th, Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge won gold in the men's marathon, finishing the race in 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 44 seconds. And although Team Korea's participation on the last day wasn't significant, finishing 8th in the medal standings with 9 gold, 3 silver, and 9 bronze medals, the nation had a sweet moment of closure in Rio. Sweeping all 4 golds from the men's and women's individual and team events, Korea's most memorable victorious moments were in archery. Korea also won 5 medals in taekwondo, including 2 golds from the women's events. And with the last gold in women's golf from Park In-bi, although high gold medal hopes from certain events didn't turn out as planned, Korea was still able to achieve its goal of finishing in the top 10 of the medal rankings. 이은신, Arirang News.
And that's all from me. Keep it tuned to Arirang for more top domestic and global news updates throughout the day. Thank you for watching.